Hello everyone. Now in this session we will see the cost of carry model. This particular session is more about the simplifying the concept and instead of explaining you the basics of the concept. Okay, so we have already covered this particular concept in detail in our actual class. So use this class or this session as a supplementary session. So we all know that after finishing your chapter, you came across all these formulas, right? And these are the terminologies, and this becomes very confusing once you complete your whole syllabus, because right now you are studying only one chapter, right? So once you complete all your 80-70 chapters, then you have to comprehend and understand and remember these formulas. It becomes very difficult. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to simplify these formulas, or I'm going to give you the fundamental principle on which this formula is designed, and I will give you some illustrations or examples so that you will be able to able to remember these formulas very easily. Okay, so what is a fundamental principle here? Before we begin the fundamental principle, let's first discuss a little bit about this formula, cost of carry model. So loosely speaking, we call it as a cost of carry model, but in general, in formalized language, we call it as a cost of carry model for the forward pricing based on the no arbitrage assumption, right? So but in a FRM exam, we have only one cost of carry model, so you don't have to take complete name. We all know what we are talking about. Okay, so the principle here is a no arbitrage principle. We will not discuss the no arbitrage principle. I'm going to give you some layman's example here. So the basic formula, the fundamental formula is forward rate is equal to spot rate multiplied by something. Okay, we will reserve this something for now. But how it starts? Okay, so how this discussion for the forward rate calculation starts. Imagine this is Mr. A, B, and C. Okay, so A has, say, 10 grams of gold. B is asking A for gold, okay, at, say, rate of 28,000 rupees, 28,000. Instead of rupees, we will take dollar example, okay. So students who are seeing this from outside India generally gets troubled when we are using rupees. So dollars, say, around it will come across around 400, right? So $400 is the rate, and he's asking this 10 grams of gold for 400, and he's Mr. C. Mr. C is also asking A for the same 10 grams of gold, again at the dollar 400. But his condition is he is going to buy at the end of the 1 year, meaning he is asking for the forward sale but at the same rate. Now we all know that this is not going to happen. If one person is asking one particular good at the same rate or in spot, and one is asking at the same rate in forward, that is at the end of the 1 year, we all know that it is feasible for us to sell, or it is feasible for A to sell it to B, right? Why? Because A, after selling this 10 grams of gold, can deposit this money into bank and earn the risk-free rate. I'm going to explain you the logic of risk-free rate afterwards, but right now just focus on this. So he can earn the risk-free rate, okay, and say 10% is the interest rate here for simplicity. So at the end of the 1 year, Mr. A will have 440 in his bank account, dollar 440 in bank at the end of the 1 year. So obviously the deal was beneficial, that is selling this gold to B is always beneficial. Reason, at the end of the 1 year he is having 440, but offer from C was $400 only. Okay, now what if C offers Mr. A forward rate of dollar 440. Now this becomes a little tricky, okay? You are having equal opportunity in selling both, that is to B and to C, and this is how the forward pricing is generally applied. Okay, so what happens? See, when B and C will come to A for the purchase of the gold, and obviously because B is offering $400, meaning it is a spot rate. So the forward rate which is charged or which is quoted to C must consist or must include the interest cost for the next 1 year, right? So in simple terms, we will write it as forward rate is equal to, forward rate quoted to C should be equal to spot rate plus interest rate, right? Sorry, okay, spot rate plus interest. Okay, so interest is 10%, spot rate is 400, you can't add in general then. Okay, so that's why spot rate is $400, and whatever is the interest cost on this, that is a 40. This should be the price quoted to C, so that the whole equation should be indifferent, that is a no arbitrage situation should be there. Now here, after this deal, okay, there can be different expenses which A might incur. Okay, and based on that the forward pricing will be decided, that is spot, what to add, what to reduce. If we are adding interest rate here because we are assuming the effective interest rate is 10%. If the same interest rate is quoted in the CC, that is continuously compounded rate, sorry, then we will use this formula, obviously, that is S into e to the power R into T, right? This is your first formula. Okay, okay. Now how to remember these all the formulas? This is the fundamental principle, this is how the forward and spot pricing is working. The fundamental principle is add all the expenses which are incurred by the owner of the asset or the security, okay, in general asset, add all the expenses which are incurred or borne by the owner of the asset by not selling this particular asset in spot. Okay, you have to add expenses which you incur if you are not selling it in spot. So what is the expense which A is incurring by not selling it into spot? Now we will assume that this deal is gone. Okay, B is not willing to buy now, only option is C. So in this case, obviously we are trying to quote, or we will decide the quote for A, what A should be charging C. So the first thing, first A is losing, the expense which A is incurring by not selling it into the spot is the interest cost, and we have included the interest cost. If it is in the continuously compounded rate, then this is how we include it. Now obviously this is the gold. Okay, so first I will also write down the expenses, the list of expenses in general. So the first expense is the interest cost. Second, we have gold here, we can't keep it in our home, it will be very risky. Okay, so that's why we give advice to A. So A is planning to give it to the bank, okay, in locker and store it into the locker. So locker's cost in general is, say it is $10 a year, and you have to pay it in the beginning or in the end. Based on that the calculation will change, that you have to see or work upon in while solving the calculations. Okay, so next cost which A might incur, for simplicity we will write it as storage cost only. Okay, U. Okay, this is storage cost. Now there is a possibility that by not selling it into this in spot, the owner will be able to generate some revenues. The example can be of say buffalo. Okay, so if you have say one buffalo and you are the owner of the buffalo and you want to sell it to the some farmer who wants to buy it from you at the end of the 1 year. Now the deal here is that it's okay that you have to store the buffalo, like you have to make some arrangements for the that buffalo, and you have to make some you are losing on the interest rate, so you will charge interest, you will also incur the storage cost. Those costs you are adding, but obviously seller, the buyer of that buffalo, that is a forward buyer, is going to ask you that obviously when you are going to hold that buffalo for 1 year, you are also going to generate some income from say milk of the buffalo, right? So that income should be reduced from the spot rate. Okay, add all the expenses, reduce all the incomes from the spot. So income can be general income, normal income, any. It can be dividend growth. Okay, if you are holding stocks or shares, dividend can be a income for you, right? Third, convenience yield can be income for you. So these are the examples. Okay, what to add, what to less. So expenses are to be added, income are to be reduced. To whom? These expenses to the owner and income to the owner, right? So you can easily understand what is interest cost, you can easily understand what is storage cost, why it is added, and obviously this thing is going to change, the equation is going to change, that is you are going to use if it is continuously compounded or continuous earning, which is in the case of the dividend in general. So those things we are going to use exponential. Okay, we are going to solve it using the, that is s into e to the power rt and all. So okay, so by that method you are going to solve. If it is going directly, then you have to solve it directly, and there are a lot of critical methods, okay, criticalities in the calculation, but we are not concerned about those criticalities in here. Those are already explained in the class. Okay, now see here, very important term here is the convenience yield. What is a convenience yield? Convenience yield is that income or that benefit, in general we should say it as benefit, not the income, that benefit which you get by holding the asset. For example, say you are the farmer, you have your own bakery and you also have your own production of corn, and you use corn into the bakery. I don't know how it actually works, but this is the example I'm getting right now in my mind. So you are going to use the corn into the bakery, but you know that you are going to produce the 100 tons and 50 tons are usable for your bakery and 50 tons are usable, not as such very usable for you. So what you are planning is that you are going to sell those 50 tons in forward, that is at the end of the 1 year. Now here you are getting some convenience. What is the convenience here? As per your standard analysis, that is a standard demand, whatever is the demand currently, you know that 50 tons or 50 metric tons of corn you are going to consume, okay, in this particular year. But what if one bulk contract or bulk order comes to you which is apart from your regular demand? In that case, if you don't hold these 50, you have two lots. This is for the regular consumption and this is for the forward, okay, forward sell. So if you are not holding this 50 in your with you, okay, in your warehouse, you are going to lose that big opportunity. So by not selling these 50 units, 50 tons in spot, or selling it in forward, you can exploit that opportunity if it comes. So that is the convenience yield. Now the most difficult part in the convenience yield is knowing how to calculate or how to price the convenience yield. In general, the convenience yield is not priced as such. It is not included. It is the difference between the price you quote using the cost of carry model. Okay, so say for example, you did all your calculations of forward rate, that is spot multiplied by, you added storage cost, you added interest cost, you reduced normal income, you reduced dividend, whatever are the incomes you have, and after that you came to conclusion that price you should be charging for this corn, that is a per metric ton, is $1,000. Okay, $1,000 should be is the forward price, but you know that this is no arbitrage price. So if you are selling it in spot or if you are selling it in forward, these prices should be in the unison. Okay, there should be no arbitrage opportunity in between. So obviously spot is going to be some $900 and forward is going to be some $1,000. Now you know very well that by holding this particular corn in your portfolio, in your warehouse, you can exploit these type of opportunities, that is a sudden demand or bulk demand, like that, bulk order. So if you quote $980 instead of $1,000, which is as per the cost of carry model, CC, okay, this difference is the convenience yield. Convenience yield can be calculated in the backward manner only. Okay, so I don't know, there might be any formula, but there is no any accurate formula to judge or to calculate your convenience. Okay, you can calculate storage cost, you can calculate interest cost, you can calculate everything. You can't calculate convenience. You can't. Convenience is the emotion, that type of thing. Okay, convenience, I'm not able to explain you in words, but it is not a material thing which you can directly see, touch, and like that. So that's why this is generally used in the backward calculation. Okay, so this is about the convenience yield. Now one more doubt some students have is that in interest rate we are using the risk free rate. Okay, I explained you here that A can sell in the spot, deposit this in the bank, and then he can earn risk free rate in the bank at 10%. Okay, and 40 will be the price, and in cost of carry model we are using the risk free rate. Now here students question is, it is very valid question, that in actual in reality he is going to earn, Mr. A is going to earn something more than the risk free rate if he deposits the amount in the bank, because banks generally pay slightly higher amount than this risk free rate, right? So what is the risk free rate itself is a big question. In general it is a big question, but risk free rate is not generally charged, it is something higher. Then why not to use that rate? First of all, you always earn risk free rate. Okay, and whatever is the added content in that, whatever is the added value in that risk free rate, whatever is the added value in this risk free rate, say 10% is the risk free rate and 2% is the risk premium. This 2% you are earning for taking risk. Okay, so this is for taking risk and not for your investment. That's why this only risk free rate is taken into the consideration. There is again one more thing, that why we are not taking risky rate. Okay, now in this case A might say that he is going to deposit A is saying that he is going to deposit this amount into the bank, that's why he is going to charge a risk free rate plus something else. We are assuming this. Now there might be some other person who is going to say that I am going to invest this into blue chip companies, and general return in the blue chip companies around 50%. That's why I want to charge risk free rate plus 50% risk premium or whatever like this. Okay, so total return I want, total charge I want to put on the spot for the calculation of the forward is the 60%. Obviously, if you start adding the risks into this, then there it becomes very person specific. What type of person is, what type of in what type of securities he is going to invest. So that's why this calculation is not practical also. So that's why we generally don't use the other rates apart from the risk free rate. There is one more mathematical explanation for this, which is a bit complex and not very explainable. Okay, so that's why we will avoid using it. Okay, so generally whatever is the risk factor which is involved in this gets balanced. Okay, so this is also one more reason how it gets balanced is it requires a lot of explanation. Okay, it gets balanced. So you have to remember that risk free rate is will be the rate which we are going to use in forward rate calculation. Now in exam there is a possibility that GAP might give you the two rates. Okay, one is a risk free rate and another should be another is a risky rate or whatever type of rate. So you have to make sure that you are using the risk rate for the calculation. And in general, one more thing is there. Okay, so forward rate is the mutual agreed rate. So if some person decides to quote some another type of rate, okay, so instead of $400 he is quoting $500, and this is a mutual agreement rate, there can be a mutual agreement. So we can't deny all these type of factors which are involved in whenever there is a mutual agreement, but standard practice should be this. Okay, so this is about your basic calculation, income, add income, expense. Okay, so one more discussion is when to use the exponential term and when you are not when you should not use the exponential term. I have already explained this actually. Okay, so you don't worry about it. So first formula is about the normal interest rate. You are charging the risk-free rate in spot. Okay, so to get your forward rate, if the storage cost is involved and storage cost is given in format, say that is in interest terms or in the rate terms, that is a 2% storage cost for next 1 year in continuously compounded form. Okay, so if it is given like this, then you are going to add it plus u like that. Then one more thing, if the convenience yield, sorry, if the dividend yield is given or the convenience yield is given, then we reduce it. See here we are reducing the values. So it can be convenience yield, it can be dividend. Then there is a interest, this is the income, general income, standard income. Then this is your dividend Q. Okay, and then we have the standard formula of the spot plus storage cost into e to the power RT. Now one important thing you should note here is this is spot, this is T1 at TF, we should use TF. Okay, this is a time when you are going your forward calculation or forward contract is going to get executed, meaning your calculation, we are doing calculation for this much period, that is a forward rate, and time period we are taking this much, say TF. Okay, now spot is today's, we are multiplying it with the e to the power RT to get this value. Now the question is, we are going to add and reduce a lot of other incomes and expenses. Here there is a storage cost. Okay, storage cost can be half yearly, storage cost can be at the end of the period, storage cost can be at the beginning of the period. Now in this calculation, what you have to do is you have to be very careful in general operations. Okay, if any cost is in between, you have two options. Either you bring that cost in spot, that is calculate the discounted value of that particular cost and calculate the spot value of that cost you are going to incur or the income you are going to earn, and then you apply e to the power RT, that is exponential, and then you take it to the forward. This is the one solution. Second solution is you calculate the forward value. Okay, that is at the end of the 1 year, that is if you are paying at this point, what is the value in this period. Okay, whatever is this period, it will be t whatever, okay, small t, we will call it as small t. So you can take that value into the next value, okay, and this is the value, and then what you have to do, you have to simply calculate spot into e to the power rt and plus add this value, okay, in simple, in this value. So this is the second way of calculation. So this is how you can calculate all these forward and forward pricing using the cost of carry model. And these are the glitches, small confusions. If you have any confusion, you tell, I will sort it out. Okay. So this is all about the cost of carry model discussion. Thank you very much.